And now, in studio, bringing his Midwest values from the Show Me State to the land of San Diego. He's a triple threat, licensed as an attorney, mortgage broker, and a top producing realtor who's crushing the competition. Here to deliver you what's happening in the trenches of the market. Your host, Michael Gaddis.
Welcome back to the Michael Gaddis Show on AM 1170 The Answer. I am your host, Michael Gaddis of michaelgaddis.com and frontierloangroup.com. We're here with Brenda Geiger of geigerlawoffice.com. And Brenda, I'm going to ask you a question. Why you? If somebody's thinking about getting estate planning right now, why should they choose you?
I think in addition to, I've been doing this for 12 years, so I've got the knowledge and the experience behind me. But really, I think me, and not just me, but my team, my associates, my paralegals, everybody in the office has been specifically selected so that we give everybody a concierge type experience. And also, the one thing we do is at the end of every engagement, we ask the client to rate us. So we ask for those reviews. In fact, we're getting ready to roll out a new website at the end of this week, and we have under the tabs, client reviews, and there's probably about 50 there. We've got about 300 or 400 in a binder that we leave out front for people to look at. But the one thing that people say over and over again is that they feel like we're family, like it's a warm, family-oriented practice where they can call up anytime. And it may not be something I can handle. They might call me up about real estate mitigation, like what you do. And I have a really large database of attorneys and CPAs and financial professionals and other types of professionals that I can provide that kind of care to my clients for. So it's not just about me, but having that relationship. Most attorneys that I run across in this particular practice area treat it like a transactional practice, and I don't. I consider this a continuing process with my clients because things change. You need to stay in touch with your clients. You need to make sure that they know that they can rely on you.
Well, I've talked to a lot of estate planning attorneys, and just my own personal observation about you is that you are passionate about what you do. And that makes a big difference. You don't just run through the motions. It's not just a matter of somebody coming in and just, like you said, checking off a box or two, here you go. To you, it's a passion. You really believe in what you do. And I think that really is what makes a good attorney, someone who actually believes in what they do. And part of what she does is she writes a lot of books. She's a published author many times over. So let's talk a little bit about some of the books that you've written. I know one of them here is called Protecting an Aging Parent. Tell us a little bit about that book.
So that's a book that I wrote with another attorney. His name is Bradley Erdosi. He's up in Orange County. But he and I became friends a while back through an organization that we both belong to called Elder Council. And I think he's also in Wealth Council. And he's kind of one of the premier experts in the VA planning space. So I befriended him because I wanted to get help in learning this area of the law. And it just turned out after working together that we said, let's write a book together because this is really valuable information to share. So it's all about, how do we prepare somebody, or, if it's a child, prepare to help take care of their parent, or if, a spouse has got a loved one that's having medical issues that may lead to a long-term care crisis. How can we inform them what they need to have done ahead of time, as well as if there is a crisis, because there are still planning options if a crisis happens. It's just that they're far reduced from what it would be if you planned ahead, and give them some valuable information about that.
Well, you have another book here I was looking at, Estate Planning Secrets of the Affluent, Protecting Your Family and Preserving Your Wealth. And this is another one that you co-authored with somebody.
Yes. This is my good colleague and friend, Dave Fries, who is on the East Coast. So he's in Pennsylvania, so we belong to a similar organization together and became good friends. He's also an attorney coach as well as an attorney. But he's been practicing for over 30 years and works with a lot of very, very, very wealthy people that have $100, $200, $300 million or more. Not exclusively, but he deals in that space a lot. So I thought, hey Dave, I got this idea. What if we put our heads together and we write this book and let those types of people, those people that have lots of real estate in the portfolio. They have a business that they want to pass on to their children, but they don't know how to do it in the most tax efficient way, in the most fair way to their children. How do we write this book so that we can, in a plain English way, explain here are the major players of what you can do in the toolbox, and and just let them, give them scenarios, like, give them examples of what types of clients this fits, and then we can communicate that with our clients when they're referred to us, so they can take it with them and read and then ask questions.
You're listening to the Michael Gaddis Show on AM 1170 The Answer. I am your host, Michael Gaddis at michaelgaddis.com and frontierloangroup.com. We are continuing our discussion with one of San Diego County's top estate planning attorneys, Brenda Geiger of Geiger Law Office, and we're talking about some of the books that she's written. Another book that you've given me today is Secrets of Great Estate Planning. Now, this one you wrote by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me a little bit about this, because this one sounds like a really good book for everybody out there who is thinking about getting a estate plan.
Yeah, so that's what I would call our basic estate planning book. That there's a chapter in there of the top 25 mistakes people make in their estate plans and how to avoid doing that. So stuff like that. How do we plan together if we're married? What kind of trust options do we have? How can we protect a minor child? So on the cover that's a picture of my kids when they were younger. I had to pay them to pose like that. Took 25 or 30 shots to get that
funny.
one. But yeah, it's all just to help in the general, we go over what is probate, what's trust administration, all the questions that we get asked. That's really what it became. It's like, what kind of questions do I get asked all the time? I'm going to put that into a book, and we share that sometimes before people decide to become our client. We also share it when somebody has made an appointment with us, so we send it to them ahead of time so that they can have a good framework for coming in and utilizing the time that they spend with me or one of my associates before they actually get to the office.
Well, the last book that you brought in, I know that you brought me 4 books, and I know you've written, what'd you say, 7? Is that what you've written 7 books? So the last book you brought in, just for me to talk about a little bit today, is Protecting Your Children's IRA Inheritance. So that's an interesting topic that, very specific.
Yeah, so back in 2003, we had a law change that allows a beneficiary to take an IRA and not accelerate it, not take all the money out and then experience the income tax hit. So they allow for us to stretch that account based on our own life expectancy. So let's say I had a $300,000 IRA, and I'm passing that on to my son who's almost 11. His life expectancy is much greater than mine. So if I died today and he stretched that out, or somebody stretched it on his behalf through a special trust called a retirement plan trust, or what we call a retirement protector trust, then it would be worth far more. Like, to give you an example, yesterday I met with a gentleman. This was at my personal financial advisor's office. He called me in to work with one of his clients. The client has about, maybe $5 million. And he's got a child that's got some issues, some special needs issues, so that's kind of why I was called in. But turns out in the conversation, he's got about $1.25 million in a 401k plan with his work. So, we talked about that stretch, and I've developed a stretch calculator for an inherited IRA. It's on my website under About Us. On the new website, there'll actually be a button on the home page. But we ran that calculator, and his retirement account, based on his 13-year-old son's life expectancy to 85, the stretch out was over $13 million. And he just went, wow, I had no idea. And that was just at a simple 6% rate of growth. So the point I'm trying to make here is that, especially in a case like his, because he's got a special needs child, we need to protect that so we don't prevent him from getting on any kind of government benefit. And also we need to make sure that it gets stretched. So right now he has nothing. In fact, his son's probably just listed directly on the beneficiary form, so that we would just have to hope the executor stretched it.
Well, we're running out of time today. Radio time moves really quickly, Brenda.
It does.
I mean, I could continue this discussion for another hour. But if someone wants a copy of your book, can they just go to your website, GeigerLawOffice.com, and that's GEIGER Law. It's Law Office, right? LawOffice.com. GeigerLawOffice.com. Brenda, thank you so much for taking time to come and talk to us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, that does it for today. You're listening to the Michael Gaddis Show. As you know, I'm here every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. talking about anything and everything related to real estate. I can't wait to see you next week. Again, this is the Michael Gaddis Show on AM 1170, The Answer.